Good morning, everyone, and welcome to County Executive Pittman's virtual press conference. This morning, the County Executive will provide updates on the federal omnibus package and on the county's fiscal health. We'll take questions after the updates. As a reminder, please put your name and media affiliation in the chat, and I'll call on folks in that order for questions. And please keep your microphone and camera off unless you're called on to ask a question. With that, Mr. County Executive.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We want to talk about money today. Overall fiscal condition of the county, and also start out with the federal FY22 omnibus funding bill. So we have very good relationships with our congressional delegation, and we talk to them all the time about the projects that we're doing, our challenges, anything the federal government can do to help. So I was thrilled when we were notified that in Anne Arundel County, there's over $13 million worth of earmarks coming in this FY22 omnibus funding bill. These earmarks are identified with one particular member of Congress, a senator or a congressperson, but I know that the delegation works together and supports each other's earmarks. So we were asked by our delegation to come up with a list of things that were top priority for us. And we had an internal process, and then we went back to the delegation and made our requests. And so for this budget, we have the following earmarks that will be coming from the federal government. From Congressman Brown specifically, in his list, we have $5 million coming for the process that we've undertaken in the county to electrify the county fleet. So that's for the infrastructure for charging stations as well as vehicles. And that includes not only meeting our goal of by 2032, all non-emergency light and medium duty vehicles purchased will be electric. And then by 2037, all light and medium duty emergency vehicles as well will be electric, and as well as our public transit. So these funds can be used to purchase electric buses. They can be used to purchase electric police cars, and certainly charging stations. So that $5 million will be very helpful to us as we move forward with implementation of an executive order that I signed back in 2020. The next is the Brooklyn Park Center. I have made it very clear that in Anne Arundel County, we have 4 areas of our county with the highest levels of poverty. The highest is Brooklyn Park. And my goal has been to have community centers in every one of these 4. You saw the Severn Center start construction this year. It's under construction now. The Brooklyn Park Center is next. And Brooklyn Park has our highest levels of poverty, highest levels of substance abuse, highest levels of parental incarceration. It's a food desert. Life expectancy in Brooklyn Park is 15 years shorter than other parts of our county. And when we brought residents of Brooklyn Park together, they said that their #1 priority was to create a rec center, community center, particularly for young people. And so the Brooklyn Park Center, it's been also called the Brooklyn Park Teen Center, will be a $16 million project, but $3 million is earmarked assistance from the federal government. And as we move forward in the planning and design of this center, we expect to continue to work with our state and federal delegation to bring in as many outside resources as we can, but we're committed to using our county resources as well to make this happen. So I can't tell you how thrilled I am about this project having funding to move forward. And then the third one from Congressman Brown was $500,000 for something that we call YouthWorks, which is a paid summer work experience coordinated by our Workforce Development Corporation, preparing 16 to 24-year-old county residents for 21st century jobs. And we had this money in the state's FY20 budget. It was fenced off to be allocated. The governor failed to release the funding for that. And so the county has been stepping in to supplement to keep this program going. This funding will allow us to expand YouthWorks. And there's never been a more important time to prepare young people for the jobs in our county. $2 million, thank you to Senator Cardin for stormwater management in the Patapsco Rivershed for stream and outfall improvements. It's a total of $10 million program, and $2 million will be coming from this earmark. And then in the city of Annapolis, Senator Cardin earmarked $2 million for the Cars Beach. You've read about that recently. Altonia is the parcel to purchase that land. It will be purchased by the state. The $2 million from Senator Cardin is going to be to get us started with the improvements there, to tell the story of the African-American beach that was there and the entertainment venue, recreation that took place there. So we're looking forward to restoring that and working with the city. And then $300,000 from Congressman Sarbanes for city dock improvements, which the county is also invested in. And then finally, the Girl Scouts camp at Woodlands, just off of the South River, just south of Annapolis, will be getting $500,000 to expand access to underserved families and individuals with disabilities, while also upgrading their stormwater management to protect the South River and the Chesapeake Bay. So thank you to our congressional delegation. The other thing I want to talk about is a project that we have been working on since I took office. And I think it's well known that I was in business and running organizations and building organizations and budgets for the last 35 years. And when I came in, I was briefed by the budget office on the condition of the county's finances. And it was a disturbing presentation because the previous county executive had over invested on capital projects above affordability, debt affordability by $76 million. We were losing teachers and police officers and firefighters because the pay was less than the rest of the region. And this was something that I and he had committed to correct, and that we needed to catch up on our infrastructure schedule as well in order to build the schools and the public safety and the road improvements that had been neglected for far too long. So we had a real challenge before us. And I said, we not only want to do that, but we want to put the county in better fiscal condition than it's ever been. And we want to get that Moody's AA bond rating up to AAA. We already had S&Ps. And we had to convince the rating agency that we were worthy of a AAA bond rating. So over the last 3 years, we did budgets that invested in those things that they look at and that we look at to determine whether this county is a sound investment for the future, as well as putting money in our rainy day fund, increasing our revenue reserves for future economic downturns, and investing more of our capital, more upfront money rather than borrowing for our capital program. And we have done that. We did that last year. You will see that again in this year's budget. But we made a presentation 2 weeks ago, both to S&P and Moody's separately. And my team did a fantastic job. The budget office, the finance team, economic development, and we painted the picture of Arundel County as a county that has a great future, a county that is investing in resilience to climate change, in uplifting the most vulnerable residents in this county, expanding our workforce, a thriving economy, and really sound and disciplined fiscal management. And so yesterday, our office was cheering when we heard the news that we not only got our AAA from S&P, but we also got a AAA bond rating for the first time in our history from Moody's. They've been grading us since 1971. And we have never had that AAA rating. So congratulations to everybody involved in that effort. So I will end there and turn it back over to you, Jeff, and take questions on that or any other topics.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. All right, with that, we'll open into questions. If you've got one, please put your name and media affiliation in the chat, and I'll call on folks in that order. Kate Amara, WBAL.
Good morning, everybody. I have a question for the county executive and for Lieutenant Davis, and I'm going to stretch this question out just for you, Ms. Davis. I shouldn't be laughing because it's a very serious matter. This is another week of attending your press briefing where there's been another homicide in Anne Arundel County, and I'd like to get your reaction to that, county executive, your reaction to the statistics, which are high, and I'm hoping that the police department on the call can give us an update into the investigation if any of these dozens of witnesses have come forward. Of course, I'm talking about the homicide in Pasadena yesterday afternoon. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Lieutenant Davis can talk about some of the statistics, but what I want to say is that This was a tragic incident. There were witnesses to this incident. I'm told as many as possibly 30 people who saw the conflict as it took place. And it's essential that people come forward and share what they know, because our team needs all the information they can to track down the killer. And it feels like the world is in an unstable place right now, and the mental health challenges among our families, among our residents, are displaying themselves through violence at times, and particularly gun violence. And while we have our gun violence intervention team working in our health department, trying to identify the causes of gun violence and reduce the numbers, and our mental health agency is increasing its support and its programs, and our crisis intervention teams that are working with the police department are out there working with people and trying to address the challenges that they face every day in this world. It feels like it's just getting worse. The good news in our county last year, and I don't know what the statistics show this year to date because we don't have much time to compare, we were the one jurisdiction in the region that actually had a decrease in violent crime, an 11% decrease. And I do want to credit the folks who work in all of our health and human service agencies, and obviously our police department for that success, but it never feels like it's enough. And it often feels like it's getting worse. And we must, as a community and as a government, put all of our resources together to prevent these crimes before they take place. But if Lieutenant Davis has anything to add, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Pittman. We do feel, or detectives do feel, that there's probably about 30 people that were involved in this initial gathering that may have actually seen the shots being fired. We have a 21-year-old young woman who had her whole future ahead of her, who lost her life last night, and a 16-year-old teenager who is still recovering at an area hospital. Luckily, it looks like he's going to be okay. As far as statistics, Kate, this is our third homicide of the year this year. This time last year, we had 4. We're hoping that this is, 3 for the entire year and we're done. 3 is 3 too many. As far as updates, there's really not many from the press release I sent out this morning. If you didn't get that, let me know and I can send that over to you, or you can give me a call and we can talk offline, not to take any more of Mr. Pittman's time.
Thanks. And one question for Bob Mosier. Bob, was the 16-year-old a student at a county high school? And if so, which one? And are there resources at that school today for students, faculty, and staff? Usually it's me causing the audio problems.
Can you hear me?
I can answer for you if you can't get it going. You got it going?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, he's not a student at any of our schools as far as we know.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kate. Next up, John Fernay on Annapolis.
Hi there. This is possibly a quick question for the county executive. We recently got the drug settlement of $30 million as part of this, I guess, the state settlement, or about 30 million. And I know the city got 1.2 million. Was that 1.2 million a part of the county's 30 million, or was that a separate settlement?
Same settlement, separate funds. So they'll get a separate 1.2 million from what we get, but it's all part of the same settlement.
Okay, but I mean, is the count, in the most simple terms, is the county cutting the city a check for 1.2 million?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so the city will get their own separate disbursement from the settlement as the county would.
Let Jeff get back to you to make sure that that's accurate, but I believe that it's two separate checks.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Last call for questions, name and media affiliation in the chat if you've got one. Dana Monroe, the Capitol.
As far as the federal omnibus spending bill goes, there are so many worthy projects in the county. I'm wondering why you decided to bring those specifically to the congressmen and women for consideration.
So now the Girl Scouts was brought to the senator by the Girl Scouts of Central Maryland. And they checked in and we supported it. We told them that we thought it was a good project. The others, we internally had conversations among my staff and some of our departments about not only what is needed, because there are lots more needs than these, but also things that we thought would be viewed favorably in Congress and not be controversial and be most likely to get funded and compete well against the proposals from other jurisdictions. So we thought that these met both of those criteria. And as you can see, most of them, the ones that, especially the first ones, the Brooklyn Park, the fleet electrification, Youth Works, these are things that we invest in also. So we're partnering on them.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we actually have one last question from Kate Amaro, WBAL.
Thanks. Mr. County Executive, I couldn't help but notice that you're wearing what looks like a ribbon in support of Ukraine. Can you talk a little bit about if is that right? And if so, why are you wearing it?
Yeah, it's got the blue and yellow of the Ukrainian flag. We got some ribbon in the office and we have these county pins, and we had a group of people making a bunch of them. So I've been wearing one for the last few days since we started that, in support of the Ukrainian people, in support of their effort to protect their country against a Russian invasion. And our hearts are with them, and we think about them a lot. We have staff in county government who have family over there. And so this is just a simple show of support.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. That'll wrap us up for the week. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.